March 1973. Over the skies of Portuguese Guinea, a Fiat G.91 Gina, a compact and nimble jet engineered for the rigors of combat, darts through hostile airspace. The Portuguese colony is in flames and is falling prey to the proxy wars of the Cold War, rebel guerrillas spreading disorder and violence across the vast territory, outnumbering the European military. Designed in response to a NATO competition for a versatile light attack aircraft, Gina combined Italian engineering finesse with rugged military functionality. It was ideally suited for counter-insurgency operations, carrying rockets, napalm, and bombs. Below, armed with newly acquired Soviet Strela II MANPADS, enemy rebels lie in wait, ready to challenge the air superiority long dominated by the Portuguese. Then, within seconds, a hostile missile streaks across the horizon. The pilot bravely decides to continue his run, delivering napalm and bombs to protect the Allied ground unit that is called for immediate close air support. Explosions suddenly engulf the enemy ground forces, stopping them short of decimating the entrenched Portuguese infantry. As the smoke from the strike clears, the pilot spots an incoming missile. It's a Strela II, the rare vulnerability in the storied history of the Ginas. The Korean War, which raged on from 1950 to 53, provided the US and its allies with novel ideas about air warfare. For instance, the war made the participating militaries realize the importance of dedicated jet-powered ground attack aircraft to assist ground troops. Fearing the tensions of the Cold War could result in another conflict in Europe against the Red Menace, NATO sought to be ready, including arming the Western forces with a dedicated light tactical support aircraft. Thus, NATO issued the NBMR-1 competition, or NATO Basic Military Requirement 1. The competition sought a versatile, efficient, capable of close air support, surveillance, and light strike missions. Despite several innovative designs, Fiat G.91, an Italian fighter aircraft designed by Giuseppe Gabrielli, was selected in 1958 for its excellent performance, adaptability to various missions, and cost-effectiveness, fulfilling NATO's requirements. The G.91's victory in the competition marked a significant achievement for the Italian aerospace industry. It led to its widespread adoption by the Italian Air Force and several other NATO countries, including Germany and Portugal. Like the American F-86 Sabre, the G.91, quickly dubbed Gina, was a compact, single-seat and single-engine fighter with highly swept wings and an all-metal fuselage featuring a semi-monocoque design manufactured in 3 sections. It had a length of 33 feet, a width of 28 feet, a height of 13 feet, and a maximum takeoff weight of 12,100 pounds. In compliance with NATO's requirements, the Gina was compact, lightweight, and rugged, made to last even under the most stressful conditions, such as landing and taking off from rough airstrips and flying under intense weather conditions. The G.91 featured a straightforward, clean wing and fuselage design that optimized aerodynamic efficiency. The wings were mid-mounted with a slight sweep angle, which provided a good balance between speed, performance, and low-speed handling, crucial for its close air support role. In addition, the Gina allowed easy access to critical components, simplifying maintenance tasks for repair crews. This was particularly valued in forward operating bases, where sophisticated support facilities were often unavailable. To match the desired weight and performance, the Gina was powered by a single Bristol Siddeley Orpheus turbojet engine, mounted in a recessed position in the fuselage. This placement helped reduce the aircraft's radar cross-section and protect the engine from ground fire. The choice of using a single engine also struck a balance between power and cost-effective operation. Optimizing the engine for the Gina was not easy, but the aircraft was able to reach an outstanding maximum speed of 668 miles per hour, a rate of climb of 5,900 feet per minute, a service ceiling of around 43,000 feet, and an approximate range of 710 miles. Armament flexibility was also part of the G.91 design. Besides its standard armament of 4 M2 Browning machine guns, or 30mm DEFA cannons, it featured 4 hardpoints under the wings, allowing it to carry a variety of NATO standard armaments, including Matro rocket pods, Hispano Sura R80 80mm rockets, Nord AS-20 air-to-ground missiles, AIM-9 Sidewinder air-to-air missiles, and other gun pods and drop tanks. Such flexibility allowed the Gina to be produced in several variants. The Gina R1 was a reconnaissance and close air support version, envisioned for gathering intelligence behind enemy lines. The Gina R13 was tailored specifically for the Luftwaffe and featured stronger armament capabilities, including the ability to carry the powerful Sidewinder missiles. Fiat also developed two-seat models, but these were reserved for training purposes. Another model highlight was the Gina Yankee, which featured a more powerful engine setup, with two General Electric J85 engines, allowing for more incredible speed and improved flight performance. It also featured increased fuel capacity, enhanced armament capabilities, and modern avionics. The G91Y was more extensive and capable than the earlier R and T models, intended for more demanding combat and strike missions. The first Italian Gina took to the skies for the first time in February 1958 with a bird's grace. Minor issues related to aerodynamics and wing performance were quickly rectified in the following months so that the Italian Air Force could accept it into service. Once all the modifications were done in August 1958, the Italian Air Force created the 103rd Light Tactical Fighter Group to conduct military tests with the aircraft before extending its use to other units. The highly specialized unit was based initially at the Pratica di Mare Air Force Base in Pomezia, Lazio, southwest of Rome. Although trials were successful with the Italian pilots, the 103rd Light Tactical Fighter Group was relocated to Frosinone's smaller, more austere base so the men and engineers could focus on testing the Gina to its limits. Soon, the Italian pilots began performing exercises across several Italian bases close to Maniago, Venice, Campo Formido, and others in the presence of NATO officials. By 1961, the G.91 Gina had proven to be a capable fighter, creating a second unit, dubbed the 14th Group 2nd Air Brigade, envisioned as a tactical support unit. In early 1964, as Cold War tensions rose between the West and the East due to the ongoing conflict in Vietnam between the North and South, all of the pre-production Ginas employed by the Italians were replaced by the standard G91R1 combat aircraft. This also marked the introduction of the first two-seater G91T1 aircraft, which featured a lengthened fuselage for training purposes, for use with the Scuola Volo Basico Avanzato, or Amendola Flying School for advanced jet training. Consequently, the pre-production G91 Ginas were transferred to the Italian acrobatic team, the Frecce Tricolori, and their armament was replaced with smoke tanks, ballast, and pitch dampers. All of these airplanes were dubbed G91 PANs and would go on to accumulate over 1,500 flight hours per year, with an efficiency rate of more than 90%. The arrival of the Gina aircraft marked a new era for the Luftwaffe, with West Germany becoming the second European nation to operate these Italian fighters. In early September 1960, the Luftwaffe welcomed its first two G91 Ginas, swiftly assigning them to Air Group Erprobungsstelle 61 for rigorous military trials. After an extensive evaluation phase, these fighters found a new home at the 53rd Reconnaissance Group, based in Erding, Munich. As the trials continued to show promising results, a significant milestone was achieved on July 20th, 1961, when the first German-built Gina soared into the sky. Crafted by Dornier, this G91R1 model not only proved its worth, but also laid the groundwork for integrating Ginas into other Luftwaffe units, including 4 newly established Leichte Kampfgeschwader, or light attack wings. These Ginas, notably the first aircraft produced in post-World War II Germany, heralded a new phase, replacing the aging American Republic F-84F Thunderstreaks. By October 1961, the 53rd Reconnaissance Group proudly became the first squadron to fully integrate the G91 into operational service, with training flights commencing by May 1962. The following year, the Luftwaffe conducted an intensive evaluation of the G91's capabilities, testing its resilience under harsh and variable weather conditions. The G91 was also put through its paces in Béchar province, Algeria, where it underwent demanding tests to assess its performance in diverse and extreme weather conditions. Over time, the West German military took delivery of more than 300 German and Italian G91 Ginas, including 45 G91 T3 two-seater trainers. These trainers were instrumental in acquainting Luftwaffe Weapon Systems officers, or WISOs, with the intricacies of the American F-4 Phantom. However, not all developments were positive. The addition of underwing weapon pylons, though increasing firepower, also added weight, diminishing the aircraft's agility and performance. This dissatisfaction was famously symbolized by the pig emblems painted on several Gina airframes, critiquing their underwhelming performance. Despite these challenges, the Gina remained a cost-effective solution for the Luftwaffe. Portugal was the third NATO country to adopt the G91 Gina, and the only one to use it under real combat operations. In the early 1960s, the country from the peninsula still owned several of its colonial possessions in the African continent. The Proxy Wars between the US and the Soviet Union, alongside the stream of nationalistic ideas, had engulfed Africa in flames, and the Portuguese territories were no exception. As a result, the Portuguese deployed its military to impose order in what would become the Portuguese Colonial War, or the Overseas War. Initially, the Portuguese dispatched several of its American F-86 Sabres to Portuguese Guinea in August 1961. Still, they were forced to withdraw them before use due to an arms embargo by the UN and the USA. The Portuguese ground troops had to fight off the guerrillas without close air support, leading to mounting casualties when they were overwhelmed by hostile forces. As the fighting intensified by 1965, the armed forces grew desperate and attempted to come around the arms embargo by purchasing over 100 Sabres from West Germany. The Portuguese were instead offered 40 heavily armed G.91 R4s, initially destined for Turkey and Greece. The Ginas were immediately used in Guinea and Mozambique 1 year later. No enemy asset threatened the Portuguese Ginas in their quest for supremacy until the early 1970s, when the Soviets supplied the enemy with Strela II launchers. Gina pilots had to change their tactics to avoid MANPADS fire from below, but even then, over 4 aircraft were shot down by rebel troops in 1973. 1 year later, the Portuguese government granted independence to its colonies and retired its Ginas from service. In the 1980s, the Ginas were gradually phased out in Germany, replaced by the more sophisticated Dassault Dornier Alpha jet as technology and military requirements evolved. Continuing into the 1990s, the Italian Air Force extended the life of the Gina until 1995, when it transitioned to the AMX Ghibli. This newer ground attack aircraft, developed in collaboration between Italy and Brazil, was designed for similar roles as the G.91, focusing on ground attack missions, close air support, and reconnaissance tasks. The AMX boasted updated avionics, enhanced survivability, and the capability to carry a more diverse payload, adapting to the shifting demands of modern air forces. Although the G.91 was officially retired in 1992, a restored G.91R once again graced the skies more than 30 years later to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the Italian Aeronautica Militare. This special flight originated from Piacenza Air Base, piloted by retired Italian Air Force General Maurizio Ludovisi, who had accumulated over 6,000 flight hours on the aircraft. The restoration of this particular G.91R was a joint effort between Renzo Catalani's Volafenica team and the Italian Air Force. Sporting civilian registration IAMIC and adorned with the colors of the Frecce Tricolore instead of its original NATO camouflage, this aircraft's flight did more than just celebrate the centenary of the Italian Air Force. It also acknowledged the G.91's significant contributions to the aviation histories of Italy, Portugal, and Germany.